Today on Bridges, we're going to talk about children and cell phones, and my guest says the best gift that you can give your child is to make them wait until they're 14 to have their own cell phone. I'm so glad that you could join us for Bridges today. I'm Monica Schmelter, and my guest is Christy Neal. And when I heard that she had her daughter wait until she was 14 to have her own cell phone, I thought, we have to open up this conversation on Bridges. And Christy, it's good to have you back again.
Thank you, Monica. It's so good to be back.
So I have to tell you, Christy, I was so proud of you when I saw, and I think I saw it on social media somewhere, that you had your daughter wait to get a cell phone. And
Yes.
I thought it must have been so hard on you because everybody has them so young now.
Yes, she was actually the last student in her grade to not have a phone.
So she really was the only one.
She was the only
when
one
she
in
said.
her grade, yes.
So what made you make that decision to make her wait until she was 14?
Sure. Well, her father and I decided together that she would actually wait till she was 15. So it's something that we had always told her, you will wait till you're 15, you will wait till you're 15. And when we went to her middle school meeting at her school, the principal said the very best gift you can give your middle schooler is to not get them a cell phone in middle school. Because they see the decline in the attention, the focus, they see the drama that it's caused among the middle schoolers.
Yeah.
And so that's when her father and I said, we're gonna stick to this. And so we just consistently told our daughter, this is the age, this is the age. And so when she would ever bring it up, I would just smile and just let her know it's already been decided. And so she was actually 14 and a half.
Okay.
So we surprised her at Christmas. And that was, we really discussed it because she had such a good attitude. She had a couple of breakdowns, but nothing terrible. And it was more about some of the teasing, you know, that she was getting at school and the pressure that she was getting at school. But I would always remind her, my daughter's name's Avery, I'd say, Avery, we're building something different. We're building character and integrity. And you're learning to wait for something that you really want and not have instant gratification. I said, I promise you, you're gonna thank me one day.
Yeah.
You might be 25, but you're gonna come to me and say, Mama, thank you. Because you're gonna have these different characteristics than your other peers.
And that's true.
It's true.
That's true. I thought about you as a mom when I read about your decision and her father's decision, and I thought, what kind of pressure your daughter must have been under from people at school, and what that would feel like to you. And so if I'm understanding you, you're saying you just remained calm, and so if she said anything to you, the answer was, it's already been decided. You didn't really go into like a long explanation, big
No, ma'am.
discussion. Because it's been a while since I've had a teenager, but I can remember like some parents would go into long discussions and this and that, and sometimes that's not helpful because it just gets the conversation way out of control.
Well, and I felt like that would give her hope that we were going to change our mind. And so I will always let her know, I want to hear your voice. Tell me what you're thinking and tell me what you're feeling. It's important. So she would open up to me and say, this is happening. And I'll say, how does that make you feel when the kids say that? And then I'd reassure her, I want you to know I hear you and I'm listening to you. And I'm proud of you because you really do keep a good attitude. But for me as a parent, it's more important for me to be consistent and stick to the decision that your father and I made than to allow the peer pressure that you're getting to change our decision. I said, does that make sense? And then I would always ask her, what age do you think you want your children to have a phone?
What did she say?
She'd say, well, probably 14, because that's what she was pushing for on her 14th birthday.
Gotcha.
Because she was going to be a freshman. So she was going into high school without a phone. That's a big deal because she has a late birthday. So I just kept reminding her, we have a goal, and the characteristics that you're building here far outweigh anything that you could access, excuse me, from a device.
So you were really instilling vision in her, like, we're not just doing this, excuse me, for no reason, but it's because we want you to grow in character. And you mentioned also, Christy, some things that the middle school principal said about this is a great gift that you can give your child.
Yes.
And they talked about attention span and was it other distractions and things that could come in. What would you say, because I've heard this from tons of parents, because obviously, you know, I only have one son and he's grown, so he's older than your daughter, but we didn't get him his own cell phone like everybody else had. And so that was really hard, but at that time, everybody didn't have their own cell phone like everybody does now. I've had people with children as young as 8 and 9 years old say to me, but my child has to have a cell phone to go to school, because how will they let me know if it's an emergency, and how will they contact me? And I think, well, we've been doing that for all of these years. Pretty much if there's an emergency at school, the school will call you. But that didn't seem to bring any assurance to these parents. How did you get pressure from that side at all?
Definitely. The reason I laugh is because my daughter would say, everyone has one. I said, perfect, you can borrow someone else's. If you need to call me and there's an emergency, I mean, am I right?
You're right.
And she did many times. And it was perfectly fine.
I think that's great.
So you just turn it around.
Yeah, even with our son, what we did when he started driving, because people said, well, what are you gonna do when he starts driving? And I said, I'm going to give him my cell phone. And as hugely embarrassing as all that is, he is not getting his own phone. And again, everybody didn't have their own at that time, but I thought, that's a big bill that I would be taking on if they're that young and we're paying for it. And I don't know, I just felt like if you need me, you can call your dad's cell phone from my cell phone and we'll work it out.
That's right.
You know, but I hear parents say these things and I just wondered if that caused you any pressure or any angst.
No, because I was like, perfect, everyone has one, you can borrow theirs.
And she did on occasion.
She did, many times, many times. And so every time she called me from a number that was different, I'd say, whose phone was that? And then she'd tell me the friend's name. I'd plug their contact information in. So if she ever called me or text messaged me from that friend's phone, then I would know. But she was perfectly fine. And here's another fact. She goes to a private Christian school. And so I would just reiterate to her, this is what the principal recommended. And even though most parents aren't listening, your father and I agreed, if he knows better than any of us about what middle schoolers need and what they don't need.
Right.
And he's telling us the last thing you need is a phone, and we're gonna listen. And I hope when you're a parent and you go to your child's middle school meeting that you listen to the professional.
Exactly. Because we all want our children to grow up healthy and to have good attention spans and to be contributing citizens, and we expect so much from educators and principals, and yet if we won't listen to what they say is best, like, how does that even make any sense?
And I thought it was interesting because when you're paying for your child to go to a private school, to me, I'm investing big.
Absolutely.
And so to me, it's a whole nother level of, if I don't take that advice, that it's probably going to affect me and my child in a negative way.
Right.
So one of the wonderful things, and I was talking to my daughter about this just the other day in the car, and I said, Avery, what are some of the characteristics that you've noticed that you have that your friends don't have because they got their phone when they were 12 or 11? And she thought for a second, and she said, I'm more attentive and I'm more appreciative.
Oh.
And she's 15. And I'm like, who doesn't want a child that's more attentive, more appreciative? And I would add, she's less entitled.
Yeah.
She doesn't have this air of entitlement. I'm not saying she never has it, because as an American child, she's pretty much spoiled like most
And we're all
American
people.
children.
I mean, none of us are perfect, regardless of the boundaries or guidelines that our parents have had. Teenagers have meltdowns sometimes, and even the best kids. So we're not talking about perfection here, but she notices that she has a longer attention span and she's appreciative and she's not a demanding child.
Yeah, oh, no, ma'am, no. I would not allow her to be I'm pretty strict on her. But I always tell her she's going to appreciate it one day.
Right.
And it's because I love her. And I'm like, Avery, you don't need a friend. You need a mama.
Exactly.
And I'm your mama. And I was never a mother that counted, you know, 1, 2.
No.
I heard someone in the store the other day doing that, and I just, you know, if I say, Avery, go put your plate up,
Yeah.
go put your plate up.
Yeah, that means now. We
Yes.
don't do a countdown.
I'm not going to count down.
Countdown. What does that teach our children when we count down? That you
Yes.
really don't have to listen to me immediately. You
Yeah.
really don't have to respond. I'm going to count you down and give you, you just need to listen.
That's right.
Plain and simple.
And I always imagine a child about to step into a street, and here comes a truck. Do you have time to count down?
You don't.
You don't.
Or to even have a conversation with them
Yeah.
about why that's not a good thing. They just need
Yes.
to listen to us at that moment, and maybe
That's right.
there would be a time and a place to have a conversation later about traffic, but not as they're running out
That's
into
right.
traffic. And I think that's one of the things we've kind of worn down in our culture, that everybody needs to understand everything in order to listen to it.
No.
But no,
Yeah.
it's not really like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break in a little bit because I want to
Sure.
hear more about what the boundaries are now that she has the phone. But
Sure.
we've gotten through this place of her learning to wait. Would you say that it benefited you and her father in any way to watch her wait or to enforce that?
I would say definitely. First of all, we co-parent, and so it's so important
Yes.
for families that are not together, that are co-parenting, to honor and respect decisions, because it could have been very tempting for him or I to come in like the awesome mom, and I'm going to get you the phone. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
and
do.
he could have saved the world. So I really was proud of him, you know, proud of us, and I
Yes.
commended him. Thank you so much. You know, we discussed, you know, what do you think about surprising her at Christmas? And we discussed the pros and the cons. And for her father that doesn't live with her all the time, I'm sure he was ready for her to have her phone.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, divorced families use that as an excuse because their communication isn't where it needs to be.
Right.
And that is, in my opinion, the devil's perfect plan.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want you two to get along, because I want you to communicate through the children or just only to the children, which leaves the door open for major manipulation.
Yes, it
And
does.
all children manipulate their children.
That's right.
Yeah, I did it when I was a child. My daughter does it.
Of course.
We're not saying a child is
Right.
bad. They're just children.
No,
They're-
and they do what we permit them to do.
Yes.
And that's why we put these boundaries to help negate those human nature
Yes.
tendencies. Yeah, of course
Yes.
they're going to try to get what they want, whether it's a cell phone
Yep.
or something else. So we've got to take a break.
Sure.
Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about what happens when you finally give your child that cell phone.
Don't miss another episode of Bridges. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today, where you can find all of Monica's latest teachings and interviews. It's easy to do. Just visit youtube.com, search Monica Schmelter, and click subscribe. Once you are subscribed, click the bell icon to get notified when a new episode is available to view. Thanks for watching Bridges.
Prayer changes things. If you need prayer, write to the address on the screen. Call 615-754-0039 or email prayer@ctntv.org. For more information on a guest, visit our website, ctntv.org.
If you're just joining us today on Bridges, we are talking about your children and their cell phones. And my guest today decided that her daughter and her daughter's father decided that they would have her wait until she was 14 for a cell phone based on what the middle school principal recommended. And so finally we're at the point where the daughter has the cell phone, and we're going to talk about those boundaries now. So Christy, I've wondered so many times, and I applaud you for that decision that you had her wait and what you had to go through. What was it like when you were finally able to present her with the cell phone?
It was the coolest thing ever. And since we do co-parent, I made sure to video it so I could show her father, because it was a joint decision.
Yes.
So she had always believed for 15, because of her good attitude, and she does excellent in school, excellent in sports, and really didn't complain too much. We decided to go ahead and give to her at Christmas. So we let all of the Christmas gifts be given. We still do Santa for her, even though, but we let all those gifts be opened, and we're sitting around, and I said, I think there's one more. And she'd already gotten her big, quote unquote, gift, like we usually do, one big gift.
Sure.
So she'd already gotten that, and she was kind of puzzled. And so I went to my bedroom, and it was this big Santa pillowcase bag that I keep all the pillows in, and I just kind of drug it in and put it in front of her. And she's like, what? And so I was like, dig around in there. I think there's another gift in there. And so she found the gift, pulled it out. She's like, what is? She had no clue, no clue. She undid it, and she goes, what is this? And I smiled at her, and she goes, no. She just burst out in tears of joy. She cried, and she doesn't cry much. She's a very tough, she's very solid, very athletic. She just broke down, and she's like, Mama, thank you. And she reached for me to give me a hug. Thank you, I can't believe it. She kept saying, I can't believe it. And she was crying.
Oh.
And I said, Avery, I want you to know, you earned this. Your father and I decided that you've had such a good attitude, and you've stayed so strong, that you deserve this, and we're so proud of you. And she was, it was the sweetest moment. I'll never forget it, and we have it on video, and it was just amazing. Yeah. And she, I'm telling you, even to this day, we'll be driving down the road, and all of a sudden she'll say, Mama, I just love my phone. Thank you so much. She just thanks me all the time.
Yeah.
It is just the coolest thing. Yeah. She truly appreciates it.
And I was just going to say that, that sometimes when we have to wait on something in life, sometimes it makes some people bitter, but others, when it's done the right way and it's done prayerfully and consistently, it can yield appreciativeness in our children, and you got to see that.
It was awesome.
I just don't think Avery's reaction would have ever been near that if you would have given that to her earlier when everybody else got one.
Definitely. And she's actually, this is so funny, but she'll get annoyed at some of the kids that have nicer phones than hers, because she doesn't have the nicest, newest phone. She just had one of our old phones. She's like, Mama, it just drives me crazy. They have the 10X, and they don't even appreciate it. So she sees the difference.
So she had that kind of reaction about a phone that had been previously used?
Yes, it was my old iPhone 7, I believe. And so most of the kids, especially at her school, there are a lot of people that have money. They already have the 10, but it's a smartphone, but not the newest generation.
Understand. I know people that don't have lots of money. I don't know if they finance these phones or what they do, but I look at some of them and I think, wow, that's a 15-year-old with an X amount of dollar phone. I think, where does this money come from?
Yeah. But my thing too is your child should not have a better phone than you.
I agree with that.
That I feel like you should always be. They should stair step. If nothing else, if you must get them a phone earlier and you're convicted, at least let them use the older generation phones, so they're working toward don't just run out and get them the latest and greatest.
Well, because you have nothing to build up to or to look forward to, and I know many families that are able to give their 16-year-olds even, brand new cars, and they're so excited about that. And so my thing was, I couldn't have afforded to do that when our son was 16 anyway, but I believe that even if I could have, I would not have. Yeah. Because you're starting out with the best, so then what do you look forward to when you're 21?
Right. Where
what
do you
look
go
forward
from
to
there?
like your first job after college? What
do you work toward?
Right.
Yes.
Right. You kind of then, we get mad and say that millennials and this person, that they're entitled, but like, who did that?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because we are very bad about, and my sister and I have talked about this when we're talking our mama talk, and reflecting on some of our things. Because we didn't have much money growing up. My mom was a single mom and wasn't college educated. And so we've noticed that we ourselves tend to be shopaholics just because we can.
Right.
Not because we need something.
Right.
And I think parents, I'm guilty of it, we're all guilty of it, want to give what we didn't get when we were younger.
Well, and it feels good to
Yes.
give. It's wonderful to see that happy look on your child's face. And so we're certainly not saying don't do anything nice for your children. We're talking about doing things within reason and things that will also help build character, and those things that are far more important than just a cell phone and things for them to have. Let's talk a little bit, Christy, because some people, it may be too late. Like they've already done the cell phone thing before 14 or 15. But the next thing that I think is so important with cell phones is that it really is, they're so capable. Smartphones do so much, and there have to be boundaries in order to protect our children and our teenagers. What did you and Avery's father, because you co-parent, what kind of terms did you all come to?
We don't let her have some of the social media apps, so we discussed which apps she could have and which ones she can't have. So we don't allow her to have Snapchat, which instantly disappears when you send the videos and the messaging. Now, I will warn, Instagram has now upped the ante to be more competitive with Snapchat, and they do have that ability. And so we let her keep Instagram, but she can only friend people that she knows.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we monitor that. And whenever she gets a friend request in the evening, then, I've declined some of them, but I'll respectfully tell her, I declined this person. She goes, thank you. I would have declined him too. We have open communication about it. But one of the big things for her father and I, she did not need to have her phone in her bedroom. There is no need. And really, I worked in IT for 8 years, and your phone, and a lot of people don't look at it this way, but a smartphone is a computer.
Absolutely it is.
So think of it this way. Would you put a full-fledged PC with, capabilities to the window of the world, the internet, in the bedroom with your child? And a lot of parents would actually say, no, I would never put a PC in my children's bedroom, but yet they'll allow the phone in there because they have to use the alarm or whatever the excuse might be. So here's our reasoning for Avery. First of all, that's when it charges. That's your break from your peers. If you think about it, when we were younger, we had a break from our peers when we got on the school bus and went home. But now it's constant peer pressure all the time. So if it's not in a central location in the evening, it's in their bedroom, they literally never get a break from the messaging and
That's
the
right.
pressure.
And it goes on all night. Do you know her passwords?
Yes. Oh, yes. So I know her password, and I plug it in and check it, every night. And she knows that I'm doing that. And she's very honest with me. And a lot of parents may not know this, but kids are very smart, and they will teach other kids how to hide apps. And she has gotten pressure. Well, why don't you just hide Snapchat? And my daughter will kindly share with them, oh no, if she ever found out, I would lose my phone until I was in college, which she's absolutely right. And I say, Avery, you're absolutely right, you would. She goes, I know. And then you could get a phone when you could pay for it yourself and you're out of my house.
Right, and then you're not responsible for any of those choices. But if these things are happening and we're paying for them, none of us would knowingly pay for things that might harm our child. I mean, when parents are doing this, they think they're doing right. It's just that the phone is a window to the world because it's a smartphone.
And I have to be honest, if I had had that phone in my room as a 12-year-old girl, I would have looked at stuff. We just have to be honest.
That's right.
You know, let's just be real. You're curious, you're learning about your body, the changes in your body. You're not gonna go ask your mom or dad about things.
No.
You're gonna learn from your peers, or if I don't have to
Absolutely.
talk about it and just watch it, that's just how it is.
Yes, it is.
So there are many apps that you can lock a phone down. Family Talk, I believe, is a good one. Family Time, because that's Android and iOS platform friendly. Now with Avery, because we don't allow her to have many social media apps, and I'm checking them all the time, and we really do have a good trust system. I don't have one of those on her phone. We discuss, and I always say, are you protecting your eyes? Are you protecting your ears? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I say, what you see, Avery, you can never unsee.
That's right.
There's certain things I drill in her over the years and have been for a long time. And then I always say, people are more important than devices.
Yes.
So if I say something to her and she doesn't put her phone down immediately, which most of the time she doesn't, I'll have to say, Avery, I put my hand over the phone. People are more important than devices. Right. I don't care who is speaking to you. If they are a human being, you pause, you turn off, and you pay attention.
Yeah. You are teaching her etiquette.
Yes.
The dignity of being a human being. It makes me so sad that people are all with their phones, grown people.
Yes.
Instead of talking to the people that are at the dinner table with them.
Yes.
So you've just done the whole gamut of what's age appropriate to be able to get it, to set the boundaries after having it, and then how to use it
Yes.
so that it makes sense. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, you're
and
so
for sharing your
welcome.
story. It's been so good.
Welcome. Yes, ma'am.
It's been
Thank
so
you for
good.
having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I hope that as you've watched today, that it's been a challenge to you to set wonderful boundaries for your children, not because you're a mean parent, but because you love them and because you want God's very best for them and their lives. So hope that it's challenged you today. We're out of time, we've got to go, but we say goodbye and God bless you.
For more information on a guest, visit our website, ctntv.org.
Don't give in. God's word says you're an overcomer. If you hadn't done blah, 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 this wouldn't have happened. And let me say this to you. If you think that you are in a mess of your own making, you are still an overcomer. When that temptation comes, you want to make sure that you are dressed for battle. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor so you will be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. It takes training. It takes discipline. And so when you're fighting that good fight of the faith, you take your story, whatever it is, and you saturate it in faith, and you fight for it.
Visit monicaschmelter.com to schedule Monica to speak at your next event.